Well, good afternoon and welcome back to another live iThemes training event. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the host here at iThemes Training, and it is the March 2019 Plugin Roundup. Each month we come out with a list of fun plugins and useful plugins, pardon me, that were added to the plugin directory in the last 30 days, and we bring those out to you here. The chat room is live at iThemes.com/chat. That's iThemes.com/chat. You'll find the handout link there in the chat room. Make sure that you get that downloaded. It's got all our stuff there. So Ted is asking about a LastPass webinar. We've done one of those actually in probably the last year or so. We've done a LastPass webinar, as I recall. Okay, well, let's get started today. This is a better than normal list of plugins, in my opinion anyway. Real happy about this list that we were able to find. Let me get my windows arranged here. And we are going to start with WP Smart Crop. WP Smart Crop. Now, this is helpful. Sorry about that. I'm having some voice issues already today. This is a helpful plugin. If you have that issue where, you upload a nice featured image, but then the thumbnail crop maybe is cropping out somebody's face or cropping out the part of the image that you want to be the focal point. And we've done a few plugins that help to remedy this issue. Crop featured image is a good one that lets you have sort of a little box you can drag around the image to set the crop points. But this one is probably the simplest approach to solving this problem that I've seen. And I want to show that to you because I kind of like this one. Let's go in here to activate our plugin, Smart Crop. And let's just go into one of our posts here. And let's click on our featured image. And if right here, you notice there's this whole new area for Smart Crop. And I've already clicked to enable. This is off by default. This is the image I was playing with earlier. But if you have to turn this on and then click Edit Focal Point. Now look, that's the focal point. And let's say we want the focal point to be over here on Betty White. So we'll just click that spot and hit Apply. And when we do that, at that moment, all the thumbnail sizes are being regenerated. So it's going to focus on her. Now, in a wide image like this, it's not nearly as, you can't really tell. However, I've set up a page here of the square thumbnails. Now, let's refresh this page and look. See what happens? It shifted so she was actually in view. See how that works? So it's pretty cool. Let's do this over here. Let's make B. Arthur the focal point and apply. And let's refresh again. And look, see, it changes it right there. So this is a really easy way, especially for clients, to just click Edit and choose a focal point, and that's always going to be in the focus. Now over here, let's say we want Edith Bunker to be the focal point. So let's find her and edit the focal point and put the focal point there. And look at that. See, it's really simple to use. And there's no elaborate settings, and it just works, right? So that is WP Smart Crop. Now there's some other little CSS tricks and things over here on the documentation page that notice here's this big hero image. A hero image is especially helpful, as you are zooming in and out. So look, they've made the man, this is that famous Tiananmen Square photo with the person standing in front of the tanks. And notice as you get smaller, the person stays on the screen, whereas before, it probably would have zoomed out to the center of the image and we would have lost the person. So really, really cool here. And there are some, let's see, demos here that you can really dig in to get some CSS. Watch the way they were able to set these crop points. And this is especially true, like if you have one of these square thumbnails, but then at some point of your responsive breakpoints, it goes down into something like this. So here like the face is the crop point or the focal point, and in this particular layout, the person, it goes into a wide picture. It would probably been the middle of his body if we hadn't set this face as the focal point. So anyway, those are just some examples you can kind of play around with and see how it works, but it's going to work out of the box with just about any theme, but there are some interesting little tricks here on this page as well. So any questions or comments about WP Smart Crop? Pretty cool little plugin. Okay, well, let's move on down to the next one, which is called Timed Content. Now, this is helpful because occasionally, maybe it's in a widget area or a header area or some content area, you'd like to have some content that is going to only display at a certain time. Maybe it's a special deal that's running or a coupon code that you want to display after a certain time. Like maybe it's a Black Friday sale and you only want it to display between these certain times. Well, this plugin is going to let you do that. So let's go over here and activate WP Timed Content. All right, timed content. And the easiest way to use this one, let me just go to a blank page here. Let's just go right here. And in the editor, you'll notice that there is an icon for the timed content shortcode. So we'll click this and we get some information here. So we have two tabs. There's a client and a server. And this may be confusing at first until you realize what's going on. Where do we get the time from? Is it the person who's browsing the website and their local time? Or is it the server's time? Now, the trick here is if you're using server time, you have to have some JavaScript going. So if the person has JavaScript enabled in their browser, if they don't have JavaScript enabled, then this is not going to work. There's really no other way to interact with the server time to get that. So you're probably going to want to use client time for the most compatibility. And we can say, let's show it at, 12 o'clock, and let's hide it at 4 o'clock or 1600. And that is going to create our shortcode right there. So it's super, super helpful to show and hide content. Maybe it's certain things that you need to display during a certain type of day. So it's a really handy little shortcode. It's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of examples that can be found here on the page. And notice you can also put in the whole date in the shortcode as well. You can also use time zones. They can eliminate that server-side issue. So if you have content that needs to display on a certain time of day or at a certain time on a certain day, then this is a really nice way to do that. So pretty straightforward here. Any questions about this one? Timed content. You guys are awfully quiet in the chat room today. Can it do a post expiration? No, not in this shortcode. This is made for things in content. However, there are multiple plugins that will allow you to expire a post. One that I use on a regular basis, even though it's a little bit old, is called Post Expirator. And Post Expirator, activate this one. What this is going to allow you to do, puts a box over here, and you can enable post expiration on the date and time. And what does it need to do? Does it need to delete the post, trash it, make it private, stick it or unstick it? Does it, do you want to add a category or replace a category, that sort of thing? Let me show you a neat spot where I'm actually using this. I use it on nathaningram.com on my speaking page, and I've got this list of WordCamps where I am scheduled to present, And these are posts in a custom post type. And after the WordCamp date, it removes the pending or up scheduled category that makes them display here, and it drops it down here automatically in the list of places where I've participated. And so I just set all that up when I add the WordCamp event, and then it does it by itself. So when the event's over on that certain date, it just drops it down here to this list, pulls it out of this list with a category, and adds a new category that makes it display here. So Post Explorator does some pretty cool stuff. Now, you will want to be aware that, let's see, where did it go? Where are you, Post Explorator? There we go. Been a while since this one's been updated. It's 2 years old. However, works perfectly fine. This is one of those plugins that, even though it hasn't been updated in 2 years, it still works without a problem. All right. Any other questions on this one? So you might be thinking, all right, timed content is cool, but I use a page builder. How many of you are Beaver Builder fans? Like I am. If you are a Beaver Builder, you need to be aware of this timed content module for Beaver Builder. It is from Brainstorm Force, which is, if that name rings a bell, they are the people who build the Astra theme, which is currently my theme of choice. They also build the Ultimate Add-ons plugin for Beaver Builder and Elementor and Visual Composer. So they are very good developers, and they've added this timed content for Beaver Builder. And let me just show you how this looks and works real quick. Let's just go into a Beaver Builder layout on this particular page. And when we click here, let's look for timed. So there's a module here under advanced modules called timed content. And we drop this in. And this is super helpful because what this is going to let us do is decide, okay, what is the content going to be? It can be just a regular content module, or it can be a saved row, a saved module, or a page template. So maybe you have a row of things that you want to appear. Maybe it's a banner for a holiday or something like that. You can put that in as a saved row and just pick it, from the list here. And then you can tell it, all right, on what time zone I want to start it on this day and time, end it on this day and time. What happens after? I want to either hide the content or display an expiration message. So this is a really nice free module. It's in the WordPress plugin directory. If you're using Beaver Builder, this one is, I have it on every site. It's part of my theme and plugin stack, and I use it quite frequently. So it's a pretty cool little extra plugin. Jan, yeah, exactly. Very handy for a lot of different applications. So that's timed content for Beaver Builder. Any other questions on this one? Lots of stuff in this plugin roundup today. Okay, moving right along to the next, which is WordPress to Buffer. Does anybody use Buffer for social media posts? I've used it off and on for quite a while, and there's the back end of Buffer. It's really helpful if you want to schedule out posts to Twitter or LinkedIn, that sort of thing. So what this lets you do, you can go in and set a schedule. This UI has changed fairly recently. Let me see if I can find my posting schedule. Yeah, there we go. So, you can decide, okay, I'm going to stack a whole bunch of stuff up in my buffer, which is essentially a queue of posts or links or whatever you want it to be. And on Monday, it's going to post out at 9:07 a.m. and 3:03 p.m. And you can, change your posting times to however many times a day or whatever. But automatically, it's just going to take the next post in your buffer and share it at this particular time. Now, that's the settings for Twitter. You can have specific settings for LinkedIn as well. So it's a really helpful tool. And this plugin, I'm not sure if this is a plugin, the question in the chat, No, it is by a developer called WP Zinc. Heather's asking, does it have limitations on how many posts per month? Heather, that's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. There is a pro version. Yes, let's see. It looks like it's going to let you connect up to 8 and schedule 100 posts per account. So there is apparently a limit on the free version. I'm just not sure what that is. And it looks like in the free version, you can do Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And in the pro version, there are additional networks here, including Pinterest. So you need the pro version for that. So this is a pretty cool tool. Either way, it's been around quite a while. But what this lets you do, it's really nice. It just simply attaches your WordPress publishing routine to the Buffer API, which means, let's activate this. Buffer. WordPress to Buffer. There it is. Okay, now let's look at the settings here. And we need to look at, okay, I've already authenticated the plugin to my Buffer account. So that was done from before when I tested it. It's just a simple, as long as you're logged into Buffer, it's a simple one-click authorize. For posts, what do I want to do? I want to, you can tweak the way it's being posted, what you want to say. Right now, the default is new post column, post title, and URL. You can insert some tags or type whatever you want to here. You can decide to use a featured image here in it if you want to. Let's save that and do that. Let's decide, okay, when something happens with posts, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to enable my Twitter account. So it's going to share to my Twitter Buffer now. And let's see, there's one other thing here. Right, so currently, it's only going to work when I publish something. I can also turn it on if I simply update a post. And I'm going to do that just to show you how it works. So right now, we've got it set where if I either publish or update a post, it's going to tweet out this template with a featured image to my Twitter. I haven't enabled LinkedIn. So let's go into posts. And let's just edit this post. Hit update. And let's look at my queue. And there it is right there. So pretty nifty. It just drops it right into my Buffer queue. Let's do this one. There it is. Yeah, STB is mentioning there's a Buffer Chrome extension, which I'm using right here, that you can simply, at any URL, you click this, and it adds it to your Buffer. So it's pretty cool. So it can save you a real step in the process. Cheryl's asking, does it use your Yoast meta descriptions, etc.? You would have to deal with that in the settings here. Maybe insert the post excerpt. It does not pull from Yoast. It's only pulling from the... Actually, you know what? Yoast isn't active here. Let's see if it gives us those options once it's activated. No. So it's going to use the WordPress excerpt. So this just brings Buffer into your regular posting routine, and it can save you a step. All right, any questions on this one? Pretty helpful. Now, there is a pro version of this plugin, which is provided here. It's a little expensive, but $199 gives you lifetime unlimited sites. So you pay for it once and you're done. And you get a lot of additional functionality. Yeah, Jan, you're exactly right. It's much more difficult to auto post to social media. Stacy, yeah, it should be taking the featured image. We have it set to do that. Let's make sure that's happening and fix my titles here. I'm not sure why it's not pulling the featured image in here. It was doing that earlier. Something we have to look into. All right. That's WP to buffer. Moving on down the list to Post Status Notifier Lite. This is a light version of a premium version on Code Canyon that is available. This one is really helpful if you have a lot of content collaboration. So if you're dealing with a site that has editors and authors and all that stuff and people are contributing, one of the frustrating things is that you may not know, for example, if an author has submitted a post that's waiting on your approval. So this helps to deal with that issue. So let's go over and activate that. Let me deactivate some of these plugins. And we want Post Status Notifier. Okay. So let us go. There's that time. Here we go. Let's get these out of there too. All right. So underneath settings is Post Status Notifier settings. And here we go. So we can create rules. There's mail templates, premium feature, recipient lists, and so forth. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's create a new rule, and let's just call this authors. And we can say, in whichever post type you want, let's just say posts. The premium version lets you choose only in certain categories even. If the status before was anything and the status after is pending, for example, then send this email. Blah, blah, blah is the subject line and blah, blah, blah is the text. Who do we send it to? The blog admin, the post author. You can custom CC other people. You can BCC some people. Custom BCC, adding other things there. So see what happens. You can set these rules up to say, if a new post in a certain category happens, then make sure you email these people. Various people within, with WordPress roles. So it's really, really helpful. I think you can see if you have a site where there's a lot of content collaboration going on, this is a quick way to just shoot out those notifications to the people that need to know about those posts so they can be approved. So pretty cool stuff. Now, the Code Canyon version, which I can't click on because this PDF is weird. Let's see. There ought to be a link here. Yes. So this one has all of those extra features enabled. And it is a Code Canyon plugin, which means it's one license per site. There's all sorts of stuff here you can have a look at. Neat stuff, and if you have a site that is using a lot of different collaborators, this will be a really helpful plugin for you. Any questions or comments on this one? It is a quiet chat room today. Are you guys still sluggish after the time change? Maybe that's it. It's definitely Monday, that's for sure. Okay. Next one along the line is Astra Widgets. Astra Widgets. Now, the Astra Widgets plugin is developed, another one by Brainstorm Force, the developers of the Astra plugin, And even if you're not using Astra, this has some nice little features in it. But if you're using Astra, this is a pretty nifty plugin. So let's go in here and deal with that. Let's change our post status notifier to disabled and activate Astra widgets. Now, when we do that and we go over here to widgets, you will notice that there are a few widgets here with Astra on them. Let's see. All right, here's a couple that I've kind of pre-done these. I'm just going to drag them over here so you can see the things you can do with this. All right. So there's 3 different widgets. There's address, list icons, and social profiles. And again, this works with any theme, not just Astra, but it's developed by the Astra folks. So maybe you need to have an address somewhere, like in the footer of your site or something like that. And right here, it can be inline, it can be a stack. There's an address. Put in your phone, fax number, email. These are going to have icons with them, so you can select an icon color. You can set some spacing. And look how this looks when it's done right there. Kind of a nice little address block. And all of that is editable here. We move the fax number and it's gone. Barbara says, is it set up with schema? I do not believe it is. So that is a small drawback. No, it does not include schema. That'd be nice to have, but there are a lot of factors in determining which schema is present, like the type of address, if it's international address and so forth, that can be problematic with that. But the phone number is clickable, as is the email address. So that's pretty cool. The next one along the line is the list of things, the list icons. Now here, so you can add new items here. And as you get into it, you open up the thing. And there's the name of the list item. There's its link. Where does it go? New page? Is it follow or no follow? Do I have an icon or not? And you get this nice little list right here. So this is different than like a Beaver Builder module or a Elementor or whatever module. This is just a canned WordPress widget, but it does similar things. So you can put in some spacing. We can set maybe a little more room between the icon and the thing. Is there a divider? No. Set the icon color. You can do a lot of things here. So it's a simple. Is it like a vertical menu? Sort of. It's not really a WordPress menu, but you can add stuff in right here, and these are drag and droppable back and forth, which is kind of nice. It's really easy to deal with. Just a nice, simple interface. STB, can I do menus with that? Sure. It's not the WordPress custom menu, obviously. But, it's just links. You can do whatever you want to with this. It doesn't have to have an icon. You can remove the icon altogether if you want. It doesn't have an icon by default. So if you just want a list, you can do that. Does it do horizontal? Is the question. I don't think so. No, it's going to want to stack those. But you can change the icon size, which is fun. Look at that. Woohoo. All right. So that's the second little widget. The third is the social profiles. It works just like the other ones pretty much. Add an item. We can say this is Facebook. Link. Target new page. Do we want to no follow? Yes. Choose the icon. Facebook. Save. Look at that. Simple. Now, your theme may style this a little differently. It just depends on your theme. With Astra, which I'm running here on this site, it looks good out of the box. You do not have to use the Astra theme. We can go in here and switch over to, I think I'll just have 2019 on here. Let's activate 2019. And there's our widgets. See, they don't look quite as good, but that's the default 2019 styling. But see, they do work. The icons work. Everything works. You would just have to style them differently. All right. Any other questions on this one? Astra Widgets gives you those three. Pretty cool little plugin, I think. Okay, moving down our list. This month's simple but useful plugin number 1 called Nav Menu Collapse. Now, does anybody have websites with big giant menu tree structures? Lots of menus with submenus, and they're really long here on the menu page. You know, they go down forever, and it's kind of hard to see what's what's what. It's a little frustrating sometimes to deal with those. If you have a site like that, you are going to love this plugin. This is our simple but useful plugin number 1 because it is both simple and useful. So let's activate Nav Menu Collapse and look back at our menu page. Let's make some submenus here. Okay. Now, when we did this, look, we get some new little bits to the UI. You can hit collapse, and look at that. All of the submenus are hidden. So you just see your main nav. Or you can simply do one at a time over here on the side. So if you have one of those very large menu tree structures on your site, and it can be a little difficult to deal with here on the back end, then this is a really helpful plugin. And yes, this only works on the back end. It only affects this page. It's just a useful UI for you who are having to deal with the menus on the back end. We'll collapse all, expand all, collapse individual ones. Really, really helpful. Anybody have a site like that? Any questions or comments on this one? That's Nav Menu Collapse. All right, then. Moving on to the next simple but useful plugin number 2. This one is called Post State Tags. Post State Tags. Now, here's another one that is helpful if you have one of those content-oriented websites. You know, a lot of business sites don't have lots of posts with lots of categories and lots of different post states like published and draft and whatever. But if you have a blog-heavy site, news-heavy type site, and you've got a lot of pending posts and draft posts and all that sort of thing, you might really like this plugin. So let's have a look at Post State Tags and activate that one. And when we have a look at our posts, we have to do some settings first. Some things are going to happen. So here's our default settings. Have a look at those and we'll save them. I'm not quite sure why we are not seeing anything. wonder if there's a conflict. Oh, they're all published. That would be why. Okay, let's turn a couple of these as drafts. Let's make those drafts and see what happens. We get a nice little background color with a little tag that says draft. So it's real easy to see. Let's make this one pending review. Let's make this one, well, that's all we've got. Let's see. Let's make those private. So see what you get here? You can change, of course, all of these colors here. You can change the icons that are used. You can deal with some special statuses like password protected, sticky, if it's a front page, all that stuff. So real quick at a glance look at what's going on in your post list. So like Jan is saying, if you have a blog happy client, this is a good one. And it's a really light, simple plugin that just works there on the back end. So again, simple but useful. And this one is called Post State Tags. Any other questions or comments on this one? Okay, another simple but useful plugin, we have several this month, is Users by Date Registered. This is a really helpful plugin, especially if you have like a membership site or a site where you have customers and you may just want to look at who are the last ones to create an account. Now, in your regular user list, you don't have this option, but simply by installing or activating Users by Date Registered, what you get is a date column over here that tells you the date they registered, and this is sortable by latest to most recent or vice versa. So again, super simple, but if you have a site where the dates of user registration is important, like a membership site or maybe, a e-commerce site of some sort, this can be very, very helpful. Let's have a look at all our users that registered this month. Boom, they're in order. There they are right there. Quick scan of all our users. So again, simple but useful. Not a lot to this one, but that is Users by Date Registered. Pretty straightforward. Any questions on that one? All right. Moving on down to post page specific custom CSS. Barbara has a question. Does it date sort old users? Barbara, I'm not sure what you mean by old users. Stamped in the database is already the date on which that user registered. This just brings it out into the list of columns. Yeah. Okay. So post page specific custom CSS. This is a really helpful plugin if you have a page or a post. This even, I believe it works with, it does not work with custom post types like WooCommerce products, but it does work with pages and posts. And if there are certain elements on that page that need some specific CSS, something you don't want to put site-wide, but it's only a feature that's on that particular page, instead of putting that in your styles.css, you can just put it here in the meta box this plugin creates. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Page post specific custom CSS. Let's activate that. And now when we look at our pages, let's just go to a page such as this one. Oh, you're right. That's what happens when I duplicated this one and this URL stayed. Sorry about that. But wow. what this plugin does, underneath here, you'll notice that there is a box for custom CSS. And this is helpful because let's just say we want to do this. Let's go here and button. Whoop. This is just a for example. Okay, so here we have just a button added, right? And this is our default theme color button right there. Maybe on this page, we want that button to be green for whatever reason. So let's just grab a green color here real quick. Let's maybe that green right there. And we can say button background is that. And that's only going to apply to buttons on this particular page. So look at that. So if there's CSS elements on a particular page you want to tweak just for that page, this is a great way to do it. It adds this meta box down at the bottom, and it's only applied on that page. Now, there is a checkbox here that says only do this if it's on a single page view. And that's important because if there is, for example, it's especially important like for posts, because if you've got, like a blog page where the excerpt is there, if this is not checked, then the CSS is going to apply to that excerpt also. So we want to only use the CSS when we're actually looking at that page. So this is pretty helpful if you have this situation where you only need styling to apply to that particular post or page. All right, STB is saying, I really like the new color chooser in Gutenberg for blocks. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Are there any plugins that have color presets for the Gutenberg color chooser? Yes. There is a fantastic plugin we featured a couple months ago called Central Color Palette. And Central Color Palette, this is one I have in my theme and plugin stack now. It is wonderful. And it allows you here to set a color palette for the site. Let's just put that green in that we just did. And you can stack up, the different colors that you want. Right there. And we can say, I want to add this to the customizer, the block editor, and the classic editor. And I only want it to show the color palette. No, we'll just do default. That'll be this. And when we do this, let's refresh our page. Here we are in, let's go to the visual editor. And notice, what just happened? It didn't give us our, there's a setting I'm missing. There we go. It only offers those color options. This also integrates with Beaver Builder, integrates with a customizer, integrates with Gutenberg. Paul is asking, without adding code in the functions.php, is there a way to add preset colors to Beaver Builder using this that I just showed you? So if we were to Beaver Builder this page, because we have said integrate with Beaver Builder right here, we can go, actually, let's just drop in a heading. And when we go to the color list, there they are, already defined. So Central Color Palette is your friend. It is quite nice. Any other questions about that or post-page specific custom CSS? All right, moving on down the list to a really cool plugin here. If you have a site where comments are important, you're going to like this plugin. Now, I have, for today's webinar, enabled comments, and there is a blog post that has some comments. I can't remember which one it is. Let's have a look. Okay, it's this one. Those were the days. I have too many windows open here. All right, so this one has some comments, and what we're looking at down here at the bottom are from way back in March 2016, some Plugin Roundup when we were doing something with comments. And this is just the standard Astra-themed comments, very similar to any other commenting system. You know, it's just pretty generic, right? Not terrible, not great. They're just kind of there. Let us activate now deeper comments and have a look at how it looks now. Isn't that much nicer? Look at that. Replying is easier. You've got thumbs up and thumbs down. You can collapse this comment. You can copy the link to the comment itself. Look at that. And you can share that and see it takes you right to that particular comment. Isn't that nice? You can, let's see here. Since I'm the admin, I can edit the comment right here on the front end of the site, or I can delete the comment. We can also share it directly to the Twitters. So this is super nice, right? Now, on the back end, we get some administrative settings. We can go here into our settings. We can look at lots of different things here. We can do some spam check, like, for example, limiting the comments to, not every 5 seconds. Are we using a website field or not? Are we going to allow the TinyMCE editor when we post comments? That's kind of cool. Lots of different features here and lots more. For example, you can let inappropriate comments be flagged. They show up here when that happens. Social sharing, how you want that to look. Voting options, all sorts of things. There's a few different skins you can look at, but bottom line is this is a pretty easy, just out of the box it works. It is a nice addition to the standard comments. You got these nice gravatars over here. Yeah, these are gravatars. So Carrie is saying allowing comments is no longer the norm, though. It really depends on the purpose of the site. Best practice for me on a business site, I do not enable comments because that's just not the purpose of their blog. However, on lots of blogs, you do want you want the conversation to happen, right? So this is a nice way to do that. So notice here we can even allow images to be added in comments. It's pretty cool, or potentially dangerous. All right, that's deeper comments. Any other questions or comments on this one? Well, again, images and comments sound scary, says STB. I would agree. But as long as your comments are moderated before they're posted, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Now, going along with that, if I'm not using comments, I use the Disable Comments plugin, which allows you to disable comments site-wide simply by activating the plugin. Boom, it's gone. But deeper comments, really, really nice plugin. Okay, last but certainly not least is Stencil. How many of you have used Stencil, or you're aware of what that is? GetStencil.com is it's a cloud app that lets you create really nice social images. And if, like Paul's saying, if you have an account already, and Jan is saying you like that one, yep. If you have an account already, you're going to absolutely love this. Now, Ruanna is saying, is it better than Canva? It's equivalent to Canva. It's better than Canva in this sense. It integrates with WordPress now. It's really stinking cool. There was an AppSumo deal on Stencil a while back, and I bought that way back then. So I have like an unlimited license for it. They may do another one. AppSumo usually recirculates their deals. Anyhow, Stencil is pretty cool, and let me show you what this is going to do. So Stencil for WordPress. Now, this is the official plugin by Stencil themselves. So let us go to a new post, and let's make a featured image. Notice up here we now have a Stencil tab. If you use Stencil, you will notice that you're looking at Stencil. It's their whole app that has popped in right there in WordPress. And so let's, this was something from before. I'm going to clear that. Let's just go to photos. Give me a photo to search for. There are actually it says 2.2 million royalty-free photos. And these, by the way, are CC0, Creative Commons 0 license, which means no attribution or anything. Okay, I see a lion. So let's look for lion. Look, a lot of lions here, Jan. Okay, let's pick this one. All right, I got it. Okay, now, all right, there we go. Actually, you know what? Let me do one I can play with a little more. Let's do a standard lion in the grass. There we go. Okay, so here we go here. And let us do some things to it. So let's see, let's see, add grid, resize, add text. Here we go. We click on the image, and we have all these filters. Look at that. All these filters that you can do just right there in the WordPress editor. Pretty cool, right? So let's do this, and let's add an overlay. We'll make it black, and we can change the opacity. Nifty, right? Now let's put some text on it. Let's see here. I am a lion. And we have access to many Google fonts. And look, it's got the automatic centering. And when you're done, you simply, now you do have to be signed into Stencil. Now Stencil has a free level right here that will let you do 10 images per month. So you can do this 10 images a month and you're good for free. No worries about anything else. The other ones are really not that expensive, all things considered. But as long as you're signed in, you can now click save. This is saving it to Stencil. It's thinking real hard about it over here. This didn't take that long before. Okay. And let us add to the WordPress media library. We'll call it Lion. How about that for a unique image name? There it is. 1920 by 1080. Right there in your media library, ready to go. Boom. So pretty cool, right? It integrates it everywhere that this media dialog pops up. Stencil is one of those options for upload, media library, and then Stencil. Now, if you have a pro, like one of the paid for versions, let's delete this. There are templates here that you can use. Look at that. Let's just drop in this guy. So the Pro version gives you access to all these templates that you can now edit. Change out the picture, just use this sort of as a template. There's also icons. Look at these icons. They're fantastic. All these are built into the app. There are quotes, and these, by the way, are in the free version also. Let's find a lion quote. Lions gain nothing from boasting to a dog. There you go. So there's your picture. Let's get our lion back on there. Look at that. Ready to go. Pretty cool. These are all royalty-free photos. They are Creative Commons 0, which means no attribution is required whatsoever. If you want to see the difference between free and pro, go right here to getstencil.com/pricing and you get the pricing chart. When you're done, add to media library. Takes a minute. There it is, 1920 by 1080. Ready to go. So that is Stencil. Pretty nice way to wrap things up, wouldn't you say? One of the better plugins we've seen here. It is probably the best image editing tool I've seen integrated with WordPress. STB, Stencil is at third-party hosted. Yeah, you're connecting to their cloud app, like I mentioned earlier. So there's not a whole lot on the WordPress site itself. So it's just dropping into the Stencil API and pulling all that in. Julian, yeah, way cheaper than Adobe stock. All right. That is Stencil. Any last questions or comments on this one? Again, the free account gives you 10 images per month, and there's additional pricing options there that you can have a look at. So thus ends the March 2019 Plugin Roundup. Pretty good list of plugins, a dozen this month. Lots of them really cool. So we wrap up this webinar with a question that I always ask at the end of these Plugin Roundups, and that is, which is your favorite plugin of the month? One vote only, please. I go back and review these as I do the best of webinars every 6 months. One plugin, one vote. Smart Crop, post date tag, stencil. Smart Crop, buffer, more for stencil, more for Smart Crop, custom CSS, central color palette, timed content, Astra, stencil. I think stencil is running away with it. I kind of figured that'd be the case. Smart Crop, menu collapse. So it looks like mostly Smart Crop and the stencil plugin won the day. Well, all right, folks, thanks for hanging out with me today for this webinar. I want to let you know that we do have a few additional webinars coming up this week. This is a busy week for us on iThemes training. Let me show you what is coming up if you've not yet registered for these. We got a couple of days of Backup Buddy webinars. If this is part of our Backup Buddy University series, tomorrow at 1 p.m., Rebecca Diamond, who is one of the support folks for Backup Buddy, she's great, and she's going to be talking about moving a website with Backup Buddy. She and I will be there on that webinar. And then on Wednesday, we'll be looking at restoring a website with Backup Buddy. So moving from one domain to another, then restoring an existing website. All of the ins and outs of doing that, we'll be covering those things. Coming up on Tuesday, making money with Backup Buddy. I'll be talking about how you can integrate Backup Buddy as part of your recurring revenue strategy. Then Michelle Schultz will be with us next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, on when to DIY design and when to hire. So she's going to be giving some great tips on when it's good to try to do the design part of a project yourself and when to bring somebody else in. And then last of all, this is going to be a really good one, by the way, getting the most out of Backup Buddy Stash and Stash Live. Stash and Stash Live are some of the most underutilized features of Backup Buddy. And so you may not know about those. So there's some free ones coming up. One more thing I'll mention, we're getting to April already on our schedule here, but a couple of really cool webinars coming up in April. Joel Kletke, who is a sought-after copywriter for a lot of brands in the tech space, Joel is going to be with us for a couple of free webinars and then a paid webinar, a premium webinar in April, all about copywriting. He is fantastic. I met him up at WordCamp Calgary last year, and he blew the roof off the room with a couple of different sessions on copywriting, and I am absolutely thrilled to bring Joel into the iThemes training audience. So make sure you register for that one. And then also we have April Weir coming in April 11th, talking about overcoming your fear of sales. April is awesome. So lots of things happening here on the schedule. Make sure you're watching the free upcoming webinar schedule, as well as you can download it right here to your iCal and just get a feed. Every time we update a webinar, you'll get that added to your regular calendar feed using this as well. So glad you joined us again today. Hopefully it was a fun use of your time. Hopefully you picked up a few cool plugins you can use immediately in your work. And I'll see you next time here on iThemes Training, where we go further together.